I want to share with you 3 mistakes that if you are running webinars, this will kill your conversion rate. Do not make these mistakes. I've had the chance to deliver hundreds of virtual presentations. I started out delivering presentations on GoToWebinar. I don't even know if they're still around, but this was before Zoom, before any of these like bigger companies came out. But GoToWebinar, I used to run a webinar and I would teach and I would help people. It was amazing. This was when I was first starting out as a coach. This was like 12 years ago or something like that, right? And I used to run these every month or so, and it was cool. Like it was great. And then I realized, oh my gosh, I should learn how to make money from doing this. And so I started to design webinars where it didn't just teach a whole bunch of things, but it also led towards an offer. And then I remember starting doing $2,000 or $3,000 on a webinar, and I was stoked. And I started to refine that webinar, and then I started doing a $10,000 webinar pretty much per month. And I realized that, wow, I didn't have to travel as much. I didn't have to go and work one-on-one as much. I could actually run a webinar. I could run some sort of online virtual presentation. By the way, you're probably not going to call it a webinar when you're advertising it, right? Because the word webinar is a little bit overused. You might call it a masterclass or a workshop or something like that. But I will say this, guys. Sometimes there is some rhetoric out there that says webinars are dead. I'm telling you, webinars are not dead at all. Webinars, I don't think they're going to die ever. It's kind of like saying speaking or presenting is dead or email is dead. It's stupid. Like none of this stuff's dead. Social media is dead. Like it's not going to die, guys. A virtual presentation is going to go on for freaking ever. Is it going to evolve? Are we going to be probably in a version where where it's like a Halo or something like that, 3D? Sure, absolutely. But is it going to die? It's not going to die because the virtual world is just growing, right? It's just continually growing. So I want you to realize that if you have been running webinars that are not converting, this is going to make a huge difference. In fact, I see this all the time with my students. I saw a student post in our group the other day, and she said, "Hey, Colin, just wanted to let you know that last webinar I ran before I joined Self from Stage Academy, which is our main program." She said, "I got zero people, zero conversions. We just followed your formula, followed it exactly, and I had 17 clients sign up." And I'm like, yes, like that's the reason why I build my programs. It's the reason why I do what I do. It's the reason why I'm doing this video right now to help you increase your conversions. So you ready for this? Number one, the first thing that will kill your conversions is over teaching. Over teaching. So what I mean by over teaching is if you are teaching too much in your content, that will stop or slow down or reduce your conversions significantly. And here's why. Over teaching is where you get all the content that you have, like as much content as you can, and you basically give your audience a drink from the fire hose. So they come in and they're like, "I'm thirsty. I want something to drink." And instead of giving them a small little drink bottle and quenching their thirst, and then going, "Hey, if you want some more water, there's more water here." So giving them something useful, but also going, "Hey, if you want some more water, we've got some really great water over here," which is the offer. You go sit down and you pull out the fire hose and you literally just like unleash it. I remember watching this old movie when I was growing up, and there was this one scene. It was like a comedy show, and they're like, "You get to drink from the fire hose," and the kids are like, "Yeah!" And they sit down, and this guy brings out the fire hose, and they're like this, and they're just like, boom, and the fire hose just like hammers them, and they like fly out the scene, right? That's what you do sometimes. That's what so many people do. In fact, so many of my clients, before they understand our program and our process, that's what they do. And here's the thing. You do it because you have a good intention. Like your intention is to help people. The problem is that if you go into your course for the content that you want to put in your masterclass to sell your course, what you're going to do is just overwhelm your audience. And so you need to avoid this mistake. Like, over teaching is one of the biggest mistakes that stops conversions, because if you're getting, this is how you know if you're doing this. You're getting comments at the end of your presentations where people are saying, this was really helpful. Let me just work through what you've given me and I'll come back and maybe join your course later on. Now, are they going to join your course? Probably not. If they don't make a decision, usually within the first 4 or 5 days, right, they're probably not going to join your course. Now, could they join it later on? Maybe, but you want to build a presentation where you get a flood of conversions right away, correct? Like, that's what you want to build. So rather than thinking, I want to have nice comments, you want to have nice comments and you want to have clients at the same time, right? And so the first thing is over teaching. Stop making that mistake. If you're getting those comments of like, this was amazing, I'll think about it, it's because you're over teaching. Number 2, a misalignment between the content and the offer. You see, what tends to happen is when people build content for a presentation, is the first thought they have is, how can I build some content that is just going to blow people's minds, right? And you put together a whole bunch of ideas and content. Maybe you go into your course, you put it all in there, and you think, I'm going to just teach. This is going to be amazing. And you teach it. Once again, you're probably over teaching. And then maybe you make an offer that doesn't directly align with the content. So I know for me, I've done this. And I say this because I've made these mistakes before. I know I've taught content where it was like general personal development content, and then I went into an offer about productivity. This was like, years and years ago when I used to teach that. Or I would teach, productivity, and then I'll go into an offer about executive coaching. And yeah, there might have been some alignment, but not like a true alignment. One of the things that I teach my clients is this idea of a core premise. Your core premise is the one idea that is the backbone of your presentation. And so usually in the first 15 minutes of your presentation, you want to be delivering your core premise. You want to have a story that aligns with it. You want to have a message that aligns with your core premise. My core premise is this. Let me share it with you. It's super clear. Very simple. My core premise is that you are one presentation away from the breakthrough you want in your business. One. How many? One. You just need one. One irresistible presentation that you can deliver over and over again that gets you clients every time you speak. That's it. That's all you need. That's the whole core premise. So when I'm teaching, my whole content is built around that one idea. Now, I teach people how to build high converting presentations, right? Because they're one presentation away. And so I want you to think about the idea of like, what could be your core idea? What's the one idea that if your audience was to believe it, to dive into it, to buy into it, your offer would be the simple next step. It would be the logical next step. And so the second big idea, the second big mistake that people make is there's a misalignment between the content and the offer. There's not a direct alignment. There's not a clear, succinct backbone that links the two. The third big mistake that really crushes conversions, and I think that this is probably one of the most dangerous ones, and it can be hard to predict sometimes, is having the wrong audience. I'll tell you, I have delivered presentations where I had an audience that were a really good fit for my program. This is back in the day when I used to teach productivity. I don't teach that anymore. I teach high converting presentations. This was like 8 years ago. I remember I did a presentation and, there was about, I think it was a bigger audience. There was about 600 people in the audience. And I did the presentation. I made the offer. And it was a great fit for the audience. And it was like a $500 program. I ended up doing about $92,000 in sales from the one presentation. It was literally a 30-minute presentation. The event organizers said, you can do an offer at the end. I did an offer and we did about $92,000 in sales. I did that same presentation to a completely different audience, and they just weren't the right fit for the product. But I just thought, you know what, I'm just going to do it anyway. I made $500 and the audience was, it was about 70 people, right? But like ratio wise, I probably should have made $10,000 or $15,000, but I didn't. I made one sale. It was the same presentation. So what was the difference? Wrong audience. And so knowing who your audience is, like who your best audience is, and attracting them into your webinars, attracting them into your presentations is the secret to getting higher conversions. And so what you actually need to do, there's three things that's interacting here. There is an offer, you have an offer that aligns with your message, you got a key message, and that aligns with your audience. And so they're the three things that you need. You need an offer, an audience, and a message. When you get those three things connecting, you get a high converting presentation. Does that make sense? So first of all, I'd love to know, what mistake out of those three, if you're really honest, what mistake have you been making? Let me know in the comments. What mistake are you making? Before you leave, let me know. Like, don't leave this video before you leave a comment. Just let me know, what mistake are you making? And if you've got any questions about it, just put a question. I'll come back. I'll read the comments, answer your question, help you out. And if this has been helpful, make sure to subscribe, like it, and check out some of the other videos. There's some great content on building high converting presentations, building a 7-figure coaching business, and just growing the type of life that you want in the coaching industry. So leave a comment down below. At least 3: over teaching, misalignment of content with offer, and the wrong audience, like not having the right audience. Leave a comment down below. I'd love to know what's been most useful, most helpful. And while I think of it, there's actually one other thing that you could do is I have got a very detailed training on building high converting presentations. It's called the 5 Secrets to a High Converting Presentation. If you haven't watched that, it's an on-demand presentation. You can just go to colinboyd.co/workshop. There'll be a link below. You can go and check that out. And that'll be a lot more detail around building high converting presentations. So leave a comment, go and check out that workshop, and we'll see you on the next video. Bye for now.